Hey guys, welcome back to another video on KDM Station. In today's video, we are going to be doing an oil change on my wife's Elantra N. This is the second oil change that we have done so far since owning the car. The first oil change that we have done was at 1,000 miles. The reasoning for us doing the oil change so early was to go ahead and just check the condition of the oil and seeing what kind of contaminants were in it. Just checking to see if there was any obsessive metal shavings to see how we did on the break-in period. And everything looked really good when we did it on that time. So this time around, we are going to be using the same thing that we did when we first did our oil change, and that is we are running the Castrol Edge 5W40, and we always run the OEM Hyundai filters due to them being partnered with Wix. It's a great filter company, and there's no reason for us to go with a cheaper filter just because of price. So when you guys get these filters, make sure that you guys also get the crushable washer from the dealership. Some people will say that it can be reused, but it's such a cheap part that you might as well go ahead and replace it. So the part number for the oil filter itself is 26300-35505. So since the last oil change, we have put on around 3,500 miles. So on the odometer right now, we're a little bit over 4,500 miles. We are going to be doing our oil change intervals at 3,500 miles. Some people will say that that's a little excessive, but for us, it makes sense. It's not a waste of money. We beat on our vehicles very hard. They're canyon drives every weekend, a lot of spirited driving, so it makes sense for us. And I'll also put down the part number in the description below, just in case and nobody caught it. There's a way for you guys to reference it. So after you guys have the car jacked up, you're going to want to go ahead and grab a flathead screwdriver and a 10mm socket and go ahead and remove the push clips that are holding the front splash guard down, and remove I think there's 4 10mm bolts that are holding it in. So once we go ahead and remove that, then we can go ahead and get to the oil filter and the 17mm socket that's in the oil pan. And luckily these push pins are really easy to get out, unlike some of the older Hyundai push pins that they had. So alright guys, so this is kind of like my little stockpile of used oil that we have going on. We used to run the 5W30 full synthetic Euro spec, but it's really hard to find the Euro spec, so I had since switched over to the Castrol just because it's a lot easier and it's consistently it's consistent for me to be able to find. So this is what I use on the Genesis Coupe. This is what we're using on Emily's Elantra N. A lot of people think that the 5W40 is not going to be good for the Elantra N because in the owner's manual and on the oil cap it says to use a 0W weight, viscosity or weight. The thing is that we live in California. It's very hot around here. Even in our winter, we don't really experience anything below 30 degrees or even let's just say 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So it doesn't really make sense for us to go with 0W40 for the way that we run our cars. We're pretty heavy on our foot. I know I am when I drive Emily's car. So we change our oil out every 3,500 miles, and we like to once again run full synthetic 5W40. It just gives me the peace of mind of knowing that I have a thicker weight inside of there, so when oil time changes come, if I don't hit the 3,500 mile mark, I can well go over and hit 5,000 mile and still know that there's plenty of life left in the oil. So this is what our preference is. You guys do not have to do this. We're not trying to tell anybody to do it. You're more than welcome to do your oil changes with 0W40. This is just our preferred method. All right, so after you guys have the splash guard removed, you're gonna wanna go ahead and find a safe way of containing the oil that you're gonna remove from the oil pan. We had got this from local AutoZone, so we're gonna go ahead and put this in here. So you're gonna wanna go ahead and remove the engine cover. Quickest way to go ahead and do that is it's held in by like a pushing like you'll see how it is right now. So all I'm gonna do is pull up on it. And once you pull up on it, you can kind of just pull up that way, pull it that way. So you can see there are these little balls right here, and they pretty much just go inside these pieces of rubber, and that's what holds it in. So when you put it back, you just push down on it. So I'll put this over here, set that to the side. I'll go ahead and get the oil cap. Excuse how dirty the engine bay is. And I will go ahead and crack this and pop it a little bit to the side, so that way nothing, there's a little bit of, you know, air, it's not going to get airlocked, and I can go ahead and keep it like that so no debris goes in there. So after I go ahead and do that, I'm going to go back underneath the car, and usually what I like to do first is I will go ahead and remove the oil filter. So removing the oil filter, I don't have the oil wrench or anything. I got my big pair of channel locks, excuse me. So what I'm going to be doing is removing the oil filter with the big channel lock. So it shouldn't even be on there that tight. So this is going to be tightening it, righty tighty, lefty loosey. So in order to loosen it, I'm going to be going towards me. So get this. These are just awkward teeths in here.
I was trying to find the correct size to get, but it's hard to find the correct size from AutoZone. I went to everywhere. O'Reilly's, Pep Boy. Nobody had it, so it's hot because Emily's car was running earlier, so I'm gonna go ahead and get a towel ready because I ain't trying to get dirty right here. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and start spinning it. Once you start spinning it, you're gonna get oil coming out just like that. And you guys can see that the color of the oil is very nice, like still very good. Once again, this is full synthetic 5W40, and it still has a very, I don't know if you can see how like light that is on my finger, but even on the rag, like it's very clean still. So we could have probably went longer, but I like to be safe. This is, you know, as we continue with the car, we can, you know, if I feel like, hey, you know, we can't be making it at 3,500 mile oil change, we can definitely prolong it. But as of right now, I'm off of work. I have the time to go ahead and do the oil change, so it's not that big of a deal for us. So we're gonna go ahead and let this drain a little bit. Once I go ahead and see it going down, I'll go ahead and get my my rag and continue to get it all the way off, which we can actually go ahead and do now. So I'll go ahead and get that. Get good. Oil's still really good in here, like really good. So nice. All right, so now that I have the oil filter removed, I'm going to go ahead and remove the drain bolt from the back of the oil pan. It's a 17 millimeter bolt, so what I'm going to have to go ahead and do is, once again, it's going to be righty-tighty, which is going to be me tightening it towards this way. So to loosen it, I am going to go towards the passenger side. So get this, and it was kind of on there pretty good. trick of doing this is always making sure that you don't get too much crazy stuff out when you get this. So we're gonna get this loose and pop her straight out. Not too bad. So any debris on here? Nothing at all. Nice and clean. So engine looks like the engine's doing fairly good. I mean, if we wanted to, we could have took a small sample and sent it out to Blackstone Labs to see how the oil's doing under actual, when they do an analysis on it, but we're not going to do all that. Alright guys, so we went ahead and put back the 17mm bolt and went ahead and used the new crush washer. So this is the old one. Go ahead and toss that. So before I go ahead and put the new oil filter on, what I like to go ahead and do is I'll go ahead and get the oil filter, and I will go ahead and get my new oil that I'm going to be putting in, and I will go ahead and pre-fill the oil filter. So by go ahead and doing that, you're gonna always, I just like to make sure that when we start the car that there's always gonna be oil first inside of the filter. It's not gonna be like a dry start. So what I'll do is get like that, and as you can see, it'll just start seeping in through the filter inside the paper filter, and it'll start soaking it. So I'm gonna continuously pour this, and I'm going to allow it to always continuously seep through until it really holds at least 3/4 to all the way full. I've already filled this up about, I want to say about 3 or 4 times, and you can see now that after it's kind of went all the way in, this is how much oil's left inside of here. So you can see why I like to go ahead and do this. I don't know, it's just maybe me being a little bit extra too safe, but it's a good habit that I've learned, so just wanted to show you guys. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get the filter, pop it in here. I'm probably gonna get a little bit of spill out just because it's so full, but start tightening it. On the filter itself, Hyundai says as soon as you see the filter starting to make contact with the base, which would be hand tight, they say to give it 5/6 of a turn. So I want to tighten this thing as much as I can by hand, and then I go ahead as what I do. Like, once again, you want to be careful on how tight you put this because you don't want it to strip the nut inside of the oil filter housing. I go ahead and get the channel locks, and I go ahead and give it a quarter snug turn, and then that's all I give it. So I'm gonna just dry this off real quick, really good to get no oil off of it, get the oil off of my hands, and then I'm gonna try to give her a good little crank down. So I was able to at least give her another quarter of a turn with my hand, and then I'll go ahead and get the channel locks. And I'm going to be turning now towards the driver's side. So very lightly, I'm not trying to crush anything, I'm just getting a slight grip and a quarter of a turn. That's all I need. I'm going to go ahead and dry everything off, so that way as I go ahead and put oil in, I can go ahead start the car after it has the 5 quarts in, and then we can run it to make sure that we have no leaks. All right guys, so from this screen right here, what you're gonna wanna go ahead and do is you wanna go ahead and go into it. Sorry about that. Go into it, and you're gonna wanna go into setup. After you go to setup, you're gonna go ahead and go into vehicle and vehicle settings. After vehicle settings, you're gonna go to cluster. After we get to the cluster, you're gonna go ahead and go to service intervals. And from here, it'll let you know pretty much the enable service interval, the way that they have it set up. All I'm really honestly worried about right now is going to the oil change reminder, and it's letting me know that I'm at 1%, and I want to go ahead and reset that. So I'm going to go ahead and click reset, and yes, it has been changed. So we'll go ahead and reset it, and there we go. Now I don't have to worry about every time I was driving, it was letting me know like around 500 miles before that it was approaching soon. And then once it actually hit the 4,500 mile mark, it was letting me know, hey, like you need to change the oil right now. So pretty cool that we went ahead and switched that out. So there's a couple of other little settings in here, but you guys probably already figured all those ones out. So all right, guys, so that's gonna do it for this video. Just wanted to say thank you to everybody that's subscribed to the channel. We're already subscribers. That's kind of a big deal for us because we started this channel with only I think 30 subscribers with videos from our older cars. So that's about the Genesis. I haven't posted them. I don't have it right now, but once we get it back, I will be posting a lot more content on that. But once again, thank you to everybody that has been giving us the opportunity of watching the channel and commenting and giving us love. If there's anything else that you guys would like to see, please comment down below. We are going to be working on exhaust videos. I just need to get the microphone dialed in better because I want to make sure that whenever we upload it, it's decent quality. It's not just us hurrying up and throwing anything out. So once again, thank you to all of you guys. We are going to be doing a giveaway soon, so keep an eye out for that. Everybody, if you guys, we'll let you guys know when it's going to happen on that video. Just comment down below and throw everybody into a random generator and let you guys know when we're going to be raffling off. So just wanted to say thank you once again. I don't want to sound like you guys are awesome. The Canadian community, it's been so cool to us. So, thank you guys.